magic from him, perhaps. It's a good ball. Grayson. It goes towards Owen Ross. Brilliant save, it's in! Walsh has scored! Leicester City are in dreamland now! Vardy in the middle. This could be a huge moment. Vardy scores! And it's pandemonium in Leicester.
Mahrez with his left, Albrighton with his right. It is Mahrez, it's a good ball in. Morgan's there, it's in! Leicester City score! It is a captain's goal from Wes Morgan, who lifted the Premier League trophy in May. He might have played a big part now in taking Leicester City through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Lift the trophy to the skies. Leicester City are the champions of the Premier League. 5,000 to 1.
All right, gentlemen, how are we? Welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses, the best Leicester City channel content on the internet. And Neil, how are you, mate? Look at that smile. He's enjoying the heat. He's built for this. How are you, brother? All right?
Yeah, I'm loving it. You don't get too many heat waves in the UK, so personally, I'm absolutely loving it. All the reason that's why you haven't seen me on the show too often. I've been basically very lazy. Lux is probably going to sack me, but I've just been sitting in the park pretty much every day after work. Amazing, really liking it. Not so good on the Leicester front, but we'll talk about that in a second, I'm sure.
Locks, mate, having a bit of a relaxed night on the host duties today. How are you, mate? Just having a sip of your coffee, caffeine straight to the dome. How are you today?
I'm the opposite to Anil. I don't like the heat wave and it can fuck off. And it's exactly why you've seen me so often on the channel, actually. I don't want to be out there. So the complete opposite. So no, it can be. Luke asked me the other day, when are you coming to Australia? And I said, never. Like, I promise you, I will never visit Australia in my life. So there we go.
It was the strong no as well. It was like not even like a remote chance. It was just like you could stick that up your ass. Fucking not keen at all. It's I've been watching the degradation of the end of the streams for Locks. He just looks like he's suffering the last 10 minutes. I've been listening at work. And it's like, right, that's it, Manny. No more. Done.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Literally.
All right, guys. We've got in the comment here, we've just got here the link. If you want to jump in and call and have your say, we are going to be talking about the state of the championship and how much of a head start a lot of our would-be rivals that are looking to make it back to the Premier League are in front of us. And if you want to come in and have a whinge, whether it be about Rudkin, about the other teams, come in and have your say. So, Anil, before we bring in our first guest, how are you feeling right now about the state of Leicester City? What do you think? Southampton today, as of today, right now, are well underway with their pre-season tour in Spain. They've already made a very promising signing in a centre-back. What are we doing? Dick, how do you feel about it right now? And everyone well in front of us.
Extremely concerned. I mean, we did like a conspiracy show for this reason. I think there's something that's seriously up. I think now, though, starting to put maybe 2 and 2 together in my head, I think that what's happening is that because there's so much sort of at stake with PSR, we're trying to be radio side. I think a lot of stuff has been done in the background, and I think we will see it as soon as the new sort of window or July the 1st starts. I think the problem is that means a certain gravel-voiced gentleman who managed Burnley is on his way, and he's probably bringing the band back together. And I think, look, guys, 10 years ago, we appointed a guy called Claudio Ranieri, and we had the greatest season in the history of football, not just for our club, even neutrals loved it. And it is pretty depressing, I think, that after that season, if you'd have thought, where do you think Leicester will be in 10 years' time? I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have had in the Championship with Sean Dyche as manager on my bingo card, but that looks like how it's going to be. So I think with that regard, it's pretty, I don't know what's the word for it, but a reality check, I suppose. But let's get on to it. I'll give anyone a chance. I still want to see the season. I do think that compared to the Premier League season, when it does start, we should at least see our team win some games, which makes a difference of it.
Anything you want to add to that, Locks?
Well, just to correct you on one thing, Luke, the Southampton tour is actually the 21st of July when they're going to Spain. However, that doesn't change the fact that, they've had their manager in post now since the last game of the season. And I keep seeing people online say, well, he can't do anything anyway. I mean, it's a load of bullshit. You can't say, oh, well, the players aren't there, so they haven't got a head start. They have. They've got a manager there who's who's working with the recruitment team. You know, the manager is there for the last month working with the recruitment team, telling them exactly what they want, and we don't. And that's why we're not hearing of any first team incomings. We're just hearing of potential outgoings, and that's frustrating. And then, yeah, to touch on Sean Dyche, like Anil said, I mean, it feels like one of them appointments that has been inevitable. It's like the Graham Potter one. Like, it feels still that one day Graham Potter will manage Leicester, and for a long time it's felt that one day Sean Dyche would as well. And when was it? They were looking at Sean Dyche when Shaky was sacked, or I think it was, or when Ranieri was sacked, one of the two.
Yeah.
And they didn't get it done there. So 10 years down the fecking line, and we finally got him 9 years down the line. The problem, though, is, Russell Martin, Sean Dyche, Danny Roth. I mean, what do these managers have in common? Pretty much nothing. This is what we keep saying. Where is the plan? What was the plan? Because it sounds like there is no plan, and maybe Rodkin and Top are fighting amongst themselves again for who gets the final say on the manager. It's a load of crap. At least it's not Wilder. Well, as far as we know, for now, at least it's not Wilder, because that would have been.
Give them ideas.
Yeah, that's true. I should have shut up.
You guys are giving me anxiety. You guys are freaking me out. All right, Daz, give us a thumbs up, mate. Let us know you're ready. Jump in, brother. In you come. Daz, how are you, mate? How are you feeling, mate? How are you feeling about other clubs well in front of us in getting ready for their championship season? How do you feel about, the possibility of Dyche? Does it scare you? Because let's remember, Daz, that when Enzo came, he convinced a lot of top tier, Premier League quality potentially to stay in the championship. And the likes of Sean Dyche doesn't inspire confidence to me. And in my opinion, it would stifle the development of a lot of youth, like the likes of, Alves and Monga. Like, can you see them starting in the 11 for Dyche? I can't, mate. Can you?
No. I don't see Dyche as a nice, ambitious appointment. I see it as a safe appointment. I see it as they're basically going, oh, well, he's got Burnley up and he's done all right to keep Everton in the Prem under not ideal situations and circumstances. But I feel like that's just going to regress the club. He works in a dinosaur manner. He plays massive people up front. I was saying massive people up front. So he plays massive people in defence, and he goes really defensive. And then he couldn't get a tune out of anybody at Everton all the time he was there. And then you have a proper manager like David Moyes who comes in, implements a few little changes, and they're on a whirlwind adventure. So I don't think Dyche being appointed in my heart is going to happen. I think it is just anxiety. I know we're being linked everywhere. I don't know if it's the hope that kills you. But yeah, I don't want him anywhere near the club. I don't want him anywhere near it. I think he's going to regress us, take us backwards. We're going to not play the youth, which is one of the main reasons why Monga stayed, which is because he wanted game time, and we could give him that game time. We've given him a pathway, into the first team. And if you employ someone like that, who's going to pick your Bobby Dick Cordova-Reeds and your Jordan White Bothers, it's just going to eat into their game time. So, yeah.
So I agree, mate. And Anil, I'll start with you with this, mate. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think that this is actually the season where you can make a case to play devil's advocate, where we maybe do need a firefighter? We've got too many prima donnas here, too many people that want to walk the dog on the park. Do you think Dyche is what we need to take over for one season with a points deduction coming our way? Or do you think the worry with that is that John Rodkin cannot be trusted? And let's say if we were to bring him in for short term, it's not going to be short term. It's going to be a 3-year deal, decent wages, and his backroom staff that will have to be inevitably moved on eventually anyway.
Yeah, I'm more on your second point. Like, I have been on the show before saying I could understand why they would appoint Dyche, but I've always said that it's not my first choice by a long way. And I think Locke said it at the start of the show, which is like, how can you have Russell Martin, Danny Rowe, and Sean Dyche on the same shortlist? It's like, what kind of list is that? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But unfortunately, we saw it last season as well, that we went from Enzo Maresca to Steve Cooper. That was always the thing that I think that the mainstream press, it really annoyed me. They were like, oh, Leicester fans just don't like it. He's from Forest. No one gave a shit about him coming from Forest. People cared that like a blind man could see that he was not a good appointment based on the previous incumbent in the job. It wasn't even anything against Steve Cooper. It's like, if you're if you've got a black eye, you don't call the fire brigade, do you? You call the ambulance, right, to get yourself sorted out. That's basically what we've done there. And so, yeah, I think the problem is with our, behind the scenes, recruitment, things like this, is that it's just the wrong choice from the get-go. So you're right. If we have done what Daz has just pointed out there, where we've got these young players, and then if we start game one of the season with Ayew, Reed, Michael Keane comes in, it's just OAPFC. We're doomed before we start. I mean, I've said this before, is that in my honest opinion, though, the problem is that if Sean Dyche comes in, he'll play some grimy 4-2-3-1, will only attack with 4 players. He'll be relying on every single game for Tau and maybe Monga off the bench to Jesus a goal. And the thing is, I bet it will work. I bet it will work in the Championship and people will be loving it, but it's just not the long-term way to go. So, yeah, I hope it doesn't happen, but I think, guys, you got to start coming around to the fact that it probably is.
Locks, what do you think? I'm 100% on board with Anil. I'm proper worried that it is going to be Dyche the more quiet things are.
I was trying a bit of copium last night, and I watched his Coach's Voice masterclass video, and he spent the first 10 minutes making these comments like, everyone thinks we're a 4-4-2, get it forward, but we're not really. We're not really. And then as soon as they got into the attacking phase, he spoke about long balls, and it's like... this was it. And he was saying, we do like to play out from the back if we can do it quickly, But look at this man up here. We can utilise him. Just get the goalkeeper to hit it along to him. It's like, it's worrying. But, I mean, look, we're going to have a special guest on soon who's actually going to be able to tell us quite a bit about Sean Dyche, which I'm looking forward to. He's a lot more positive about Dyche than we all are. But... yeah, I just feel like the whole argument against Roll as well with compensation. Roll's going to be expensive. He's gonna have to pay him out and stuff. I'm convinced Sean Dyche's wages are going to be, like, I'm speculating here, double what Danny Roll's are, to be honest with you. And the difference with Roll is, with Roll, you would get like a larger number of fans who were behind him from the start. Now, whether the Forest thing played a part or not, I don't think it did last season. But the fact is that a lot of people were against Cooper or just not with him from the very start. And we need a manager where they are with him. And I think Roll would have done that. But we're going to start with Dyche if he comes in. Yeah, we're going to start with Dyche when he comes in, as again with a lot of fans really not on board with it, and that's a concern. We need that siege mentality we keep talking about, and I just don't think there's enough fans who are kind of behind Dyche or who get excited about Dyche for that to happen. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope he takes us up, and I hope he keeps us up. But I just can't see it happening, to be honest with you.
Daz, what do you think, mate? Are you all aboard the Roll train? Do you want Roll to come in and start, like an elegant siege mentality where it's like, I believe in my brand of football. I believe in this facility. I believe in the youth. I don't care about a 12-point deduction. They can suck my German dick. We're going to absolutely piss the league. What are your thoughts, Daz?
I mean...
10 a.m.
Yeah, I'm going to say 10 a.m, bang, Ed gone.
I'm trying to help you out. Put that sunshine in, brother. You ready for this?
I mean, to be honest with you, I want the right man for the job. So if the board turn around and think that that's Danny Roll, fantastic. If the board think that's Sean Dyche, then I don't believe in this board at all. So I think that's what it comes down to. I think the siege mentality is massive this season because of what the adversity we find ourselves in, thanks to the lovely people at the top of this football club. But as you've just said there, when we've had, like Lox has said, sorry, when we've had Steve Cooper come in, no one wanted him. And it was just negative from the get-go. So if you have someone to galvanise the fans, the squad, do you know what? This season could start off fantastic if the following things happen. We appoint the right manager, the club come out and issue a statement and apologise for the way things have gone, hold their hands up and just take some accountability and lead a pathway going forward. The fact that won't happen is upsetting. But yeah, to answer your question on the manager front, mate, I think for me, out of all the managers available that we are linked to, I think Danny Roll has got to be the one. And like you said, Lox, as well, the wages and stuff for Roll to get him out of the contract, after July or whenever it is, or the end of June, it'll go down officially because we're in the next tax year, or we're a championship club or whatever. So
Yeah.
it should be a lot cheaper to do it. So yeah, I'm all in for roll, and everyone can have his German sausage, and I think that'll be all right.
Perfect. Daz, brother, I'm going to let you go, man. Thank you for
That
calling
sounds.
in, brother. Hopefully we'll see you on the Monday call-in show. All right.
Yep. See you later, boys. Take care.
Catch you later, Daz. All right, just before we get our next caller in, we've got to hear from Josh. German sausage all the way. All aboard the German sausage train. That's the next t-shirt. Get down to bluetinterglasses.com and get yourself a Bend the Knee t-shirt. Okay. Now, here's a good comment here from Scott. We're going to pull up here. What are the chances of signing a manager that is unknown? This very well could happen. We have before done left field choices. No one saw Enzo Maresca coming. No one was talking about that before he came. It was left field. This is the weird thing about Leicester, because I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship because they do so many things right and then they undo that goodwill. We get rid of Madison, we get rid of Castagna and Barnes prompt. We get in Winks, Cody, whether you agree with the signing and the money is another question and debate. But the reality was that we got good players in early. We all thought Everson was going to be keeper. We get our manager in early. I want a goalkeeper that's good at his feet. Cool. Here you go. Here's Madsen Manson. So we're all happy with those signings. We had some great signings that season, some bad, some good. So it's not all bad, but this is what worries me with the board right now. I have no idea which direction we're going to go. Anyways, I don't know if you have much to say to that, Anil.
Yeah, well, the problem is I don't want to like piss on everyone's parade, but I don't think that's happened. The reason I don't think that's happening is because there was an appointment recently, which was Carlos Cuesta, who is one of the Arsenal assistant managers. He's taken over in Parma in Syria. I think they're in Syria A or Syria B. So the reason I say this is I would say that right now in the English game, he is one of the highest rated sort of young up and coming prospects in the entirety of football. Like, you can go behind the scene. There are some others that are also quite well thought of as well, but this guy is super highly thought of. He is so highly thought of. Like, I've got some friends who work in the Arsenal scouting department. They think that this guy is a high chance of being an Arsenal manager, not right now, maybe 5 years time, 10 years time. So I think if we were going to go for a young up-and-coming manager, he was the obvious one to go and get. It would have been repeating the Enzo Maresca trick, bringing in a promising player manager, giving them the squad to work with and build something for the future. And Maresca, if you remember, before he was at Leicester, he actually was at Parma as well. So I've got a feeling that they probably don't know lesson reason. We need to give a guy like that more time. So I think if we were going to go for someone, it would have been someone like that. I think as well, his wages and probably demands would not have been too much. And I think sadly, what the reality is, I think the club probably realizes they cannot afford to stay out of the Premier League for too long. So they've panicked. They're going for the quote unquote safe option, but I think they're just kicking the can down the road. And I think that like all this short-termism thinking is going to catch up with you eventually. And it worries me quite greatly. So look, I hope I'm wrong. I've said this before, I don't want Sean Dyche, but I think if you were going to go for the up and coming manager, because the thing with Enzo is he came in because agents suggested to the board, oh, you should talk to this guy. He's like the hot, the best thing since sliced bread. He's going to be the new Pep. And like I say, in the English game, people were saying about Carlos Cuesta, and we didn't go for him this time around. So no, I don't think we're going to get up and coming unknown.
And I was going to say as well, like, there's two ways of looking at this, but if we are going to be getting points deductions next season, you could argue that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but the pressure with promotion is maybe off because people from the start will think they ain't going up because they've got points deductions. Maybe that is a better environment to bring somebody in to start building something. I know some people will say, well, no, if anything, you need someone who will be able to grind results, but I'm not so sure. I mean, Enzo did well last season under pressure, and when I say under pressure, everyone thought we would go straight back up, and he passed that, and we did. But yeah, I don't know. It's and unless they're worried about getting relegated again, so they bring in Dyche to grind results out in the Championship. Who knows? But I mean, yeah, it could be a lot. This is what I keep saying. I have like a priority order that I keep going through, and it's like, Dyche is above Rude for me, like in my priority. Like, I want to get rid of the only manager that I would rather. The only manager that I would what word am I looking for? It's too early for me. The only manager who is below Rude in my priority is Chris Wilder. Do not touch that bloke. Please do not even interview. Don't do anything. Don't even get within 100 miles of him, please. Just, I'd rather Rude than Wilder. But yeah.
I'm in agreement with you. All right, let's get our next caller in. Here he is, my main man, Jack from the Final Whistle. Jack, brother, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Can't go on like this, can it, lads?
They can.
Jack, mate, I'm going to bring this comment up here. Jack, what happens when nothing happens and no changes happen on July the 1st and Ruud van Nistelrooy is still here and we're all kicking tumbleweeds down the King Power? How are you going to be when nothing happens by then? Are you going to have a meltdown like me? Do you want to jump on and curse a little bit?
I think I'd have more than any curse words for Leicester City if that happens. You know what I mean? So, the thing is, you're going to really seriously think about what Anil said. Questions seriously need to be asked if that's the case on July the 1st. That shows there's been no plan. There's been nothing going on behind the scenes. And you're then trusting the same people again to get you through this process like when we got relegated before. So, yeah, there's a lot of discussions need to be had. There's a lot of confrontation with the fans between the club to really sort of concern with the fans to say, you know what, this is what we've got wrong and this is how we're going to fix it. But Leicester City, you ain't going to get nothing like that. What Plymouth did and Cardiff did and everything like that, explaining everything that's happened and what they've got wrong, and we apologise for it. Yeah, there's just been nothing. But if that happens on July the 1st, I think this toxicity thing is going to be a bit more to the shelf.
It'll be absolutely brutal. Yeah, I'm seeing all these comments coming in here. It's his birthday on the July the 1st. Who cares? Happy birthday, mate. Fucking piss off. Like, we saw like the wishes that we've been giving people, like we've been seeing is birthday wishes and, oh yeah, thanks Brian Bay Murphy, good luck to you. Like, it was the social media team is equally as sackable as the board, in my opinion, right now. Like,
let me say one thing though, Luke. I was speaking to somebody who I know who is, well, I don't really know them, but I met them, who is in the social media team at the club. Like, not anyone high up, but they were saying like they're just stuck like in such a hard place because they want something positive to give out like to the fans, and they just can't. There's nothing. Like, you know, they come into work and their list of things to talk about is fucking Gary Taylor Fletcher's birthday. Like, there's nothing that they can do. Do you know what I mean? So, although I do think someone needs to make the decision. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't. You know, in this time of uncertainty, maybe we shouldn't be wishing people happy birthdays. Which is, yeah, it's annoying, but.
Well, doesn't it, which I would almost just rather complete radio silence over these stupid little birthday wishes and stuff like that. It just aggravates me further. Like, if you want to focus on something positive, in my opinion, so look at this comment here. Surely Monga signing or agreeing to sign gives some hope that things are moving behind the scenes, or do you think it's purely because of Seagrave just feel like he wouldn't sign otherwise? There's a lot of arguments of people that don't like Welcome to Wrexham, and they don't like all these like this is Sunderland. But in my opinion, if you want to have like a feel-good story, and if you don't want to disclose and you want to be this classic Thai Asian-style company that doesn't, you know, keep their cards close to their chest, why don't you just do like a TV show developing on youth? Have like a Seagrave TV show where you have like young lads, maybe like 12, 13 years old, coming up through the academy, breaking through to that youth side. You know what I mean? Like that. Can you imagine the buzz that would generate if they could produce that and do that well? And then with those team and those players do make it, you've been on that journey with them through the TV show. There's a lot of avenues that you could do to generate more money, in my opinion. And Seagrave, to answer that question, I think is a definite like benefit. Like, we're going to only start to reap the rewards for that, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts on that, Neil? Am I talking out my ass or what?
No, I'm signed up. I've already bought the subscription service to Leicester City behind the scenes, but let's be real about it. Like, our club is just so broken behind the scenes. Like, left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Like, there was a comment I brought up here. Now, this is very interesting. Goes Rich Hewson. I was out with Brian Barry Murphy's brother-in-law last night, and he said BBM was in the dark as much as we are, so he moved to Cardiff. I mean, it just shows you that, like, who knows what is going on. And I don't know. I suppose in some sense, some people have spoke to Jeremy Monga and his you know, probably his family, and said that regardless of who's coming in, we're going to make sure that you get game time. You're going to be played. Even if Dyche comes in, you could tell him, okay, Dyche, you've been given the contract, but as part of the stipulation, you have to play this player. Like, even with Ruud, I think Ruud was told that he have to play Jeremy Monga because he didn't really look that pleased to do it. He said he was, but he wasn't, in my opinion. I think he was told to do it and he just did it. It towed the company line. So probably something like that is happening. And yeah, look, you say the social media thing, but the thing is that I bet they're paid, but they have to make a certain amount of posts every week, and they've got nothing else to do. But again, it's a lack of joined up thinking. It's like what you're describing is how a club should be run, where everyone is working together. There's alignment on the message. Like, even if my suspicion is that because of PSR, they want to watch. They want to make it look like nothing at all has happened in the background, so they can't get charged in this window for things that have blatantly been done in the next thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if actually there are already player deals lined up, and there's rumors on Fox's talk that they've even paid off managers and stuff like that not to talk. And I think the fact that you don't even see Sean Dyche getting interviewed, I think there's not a peep out of Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think it's highly compelling that they've done this, but even if that was the case, you could still get your house in order and get like a bit of a build up. So. Yeah, I agree. I don't know what this all about, and I think this is what I was saying. I'm really worried because I think the thing is that we're going to fluke our way out of a situation if it's bad. It just shows that if it's so badly run behind the scenes, it just means that you're only sort of seconds away from another disaster. That's what really makes me nervous.
It makes me really nervous as well. Like, Jack, like how do you feel, mate? Like what Anil mentioned earlier about this short-termism, appointments and stuff like that, not making any sense, completely no continuity whatsoever. Like, to turn around, how does it make sense to go from Enzo Maresca to Steve Cooper? It's a panic appointment that we've been riddled with these decisions ever since basically Fofana got injured, in my opinion. We've had panic buyers in Yannick Vestergaard and what's his name from that broke his leg. God damn it, I've forgotten his name. The fullback that we signed as well.
Bertrand.
Bertrand, again, that was a panic appointment. They were both panic appointments when we had injuries. I think Evans got injured, Fofana got injured. And then, again, I'm going on and on, and I know I've got half a heart on for Enzo Maresca, but it just completely makes no sense to go from him to Steve Cooper, then from Steve Cooper to Ruud van Nistelrooy, and then back to Dyche again. What are we doing? Like, we need to just make a decision where we're going to stick to a brand of football, or at least, something that we can progress and continue on. We can't keep making short-term decisions, Jack, because it's going to cost us more and more in the long run, and we're going to have this perpetual snowball effect of financial horror after horror.
This just shows the board haven't got a plan. They don't know what the contingency plan is of the football club, where they want to go and how they want to go about things. You've gone from Enzo ball, which was a possessive-based football, build-up play, and it was okay to an extent, let's be honest. It did get us up in the end, but you then go to Steve Cooper ball, and the same Steve Cooper who at the start said, we're going to bring the youth through, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then he plays fucking IU, Skip, and fucking D Cordova-Reid, for God's sake, and then drops Mavadidi, Fatawu, Ricardo, and whoever. And then Ruud van Nistelrooy comes in, completely different football again, and Ruud's like, well, I'll get Leicester back to how Enzo got them playing. And it's like, yeah, but it's not the same style of football. You watch Ruud van Nistelrooy's football, it's not the same, it's different, it's not progressive, it made us worse. And then what Rob Tanner picked up on the other day is Top wants a modern style football manager of Enzo Maresca's sort of caliber. So I just don't think they have a clue of what they actually want. And I think they're sort of confused themselves, but you maybe need that help and support from somebody, maybe a proper football advisor, to say, you know what, this is how Leicester City need to be going, and this is the direction we've got to be going. But Top hasn't gone for that help, has he? He's just left it to him and Rudkin, and away it's going.
Locks, yeah. I'm 100% agreement with you, Jack. Like, where are you at? How are you feeling about this whole thing, Locks? Because I think it's an absolute car crash right now, to be honest with you, mate. Like, let's not forget ourselves as well, Locks. Like, we were told and sold a dream that Ruud van Nistelrooy was this guy that was great at developing youth. He was at the PSV second team, and then basically, as Anil pointed to earlier, he only played Monga because he was bent over by a barrel and said, you have to play him. But who is it that's saying that? Is it John Rudkin? Is it Top? Like, where's this coming from? This is what happens when they don't disclose or be transparent whatsoever with us as fans. We're forced to have these conspiracy theories because we don't know dick, because we just keep getting bullshit to and happy birthday and stupid social media messages.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was a PR thing in part. I think when it was apparent that we were going to get relegated, which it was pretty early on, you saw a switch, right? You saw a switch in direction. And And like the whole Vardy stuff as well, that was all orchestrated. That Vardy stuff, you could tell it was announced, a couple months before the season, and then it was just a whole Vardy push by the club for the next 2 months. And I'm not saying that Vardy doesn't deserve the PR, of course he does, but it did benefit the club as well because there was slightly less toxicity, and fans were actually getting excited because they wanted to see Vardy's 200th goal and all of that. So, and I think it was the same with the youth. However, you could argue maybe that the minutes that Monga got at the end of the season are the reason why he signed, why he's decided to stay. And this is what we actually said from the start. While there were people in this comment section, I'm not calling anyone out, you know who you are, who were saying he's not ready, you can't play a 16-year-old, blah, 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 15-year-old, blah. We were saying he's more likely to you can't tell me if we play him he's less likely to stay. He's more likely to stay if we actually play him, and that's what we did. So that was the right decision. Whoever made that decision, whether it was Rude or whether, as the conspiracy theories have you believe, it was Rudkin or Top or whatever, it was the right thing in the end. And now we've got him, on a contract. So yeah, you're right though, Luke. The reason these conspiracy theories come out is because we don't know shit. No one talks to the fans. It's the same right now. We're here talking about Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche might never have even been spoken to by the club, but the conspiracy theories are there because they don't speak to anyone. And we're currently on the 21st of June, and we've got no idea whether Rude's going to be here or not. So, if the club don't like the conspiracy theories, they have themselves to blame for that.
They have themselves to blame. I'll come to you with this, Anil. What are your thoughts? I know we haven't really talked about it on the channel yet, but Anil, why don't you talk to me what you think it means of this new CEO? Do you think it means nothing? Do you think he's just like a scapegoat / martyr to be able to clop some flack that's surely going to be coming our way? Hence the radio silence. We're going to have sanctions coming away, potentially huge points deductions, possibly an embargo that we're already in. What's the point of this what does this mean for you, this new CEO that's been brought in?
Well, it's funny. So Locks first let me know about it. And when I first saw it, I almost went ballistic. I was like, oh my God, it's happening. I knew it. My conspiracy theories were right. I thought it was a new CEO for King Power, but it's not for Leicester City. It's not. It's for the King Power groups. It's a bit different. So it might not really mean that much, to be honest with you. But I think if I'm reading between the lines, it probably means that there's someone to look after King Power day to day, which means Top has more time to look at his other businesses, one of which is Leicester City Football Club. We do know that last year there was a thing where they changed the shares. So Top is now the majority shareholder. So it is really his club now. So I don't know, maybe it could be a good thing that he's going to get more hands-on involved, though some might say that's a bad thing given how badly some of the decisions have been made. We'll have to see. But if I'm being really honest, I think what the club really does need is a major shake-up, and they need to do something like to be honest with you, 2 relegations in 3 years. It means there should be a complete overhaul of the exec staff at Leicester City, right? And Susan Whelan, she's supposed to be the CEO, John Rudkin, you can be moved into King Power, into other roles, but most good businesses would do something like that. Now, they've done that with the King Power side. Now, they haven't done it with Leicester City. We'll have to see what happens there. But, there are also a lot of things that are saying, if this is how they run Leicester City Football Club, how are they running King Power? And I think if you read behind the scenes between that, I've got the feeling it's not going too well there either. So I don't know. It could really be going south in many ways possible. We'll have to wait and see there. Look, I say, like most people, then 10 days time, it was funny, Josh talking about the deadline day counter until July the 1st. Let's see what happens on that date. But I think if nothing happens then it really is panic situation, isn't it? Like, what the hell is going on? But I think we might see some things. But like I say, unfortunately, my theory all along is I think it's going to be quite bad stuff. I think we're going to get hit with a very heavy points deduction, and it might really change our expectations. I mean, if you look at it, they had those predictions for who they think is going to win the championship this season, and currently Leicester City are 7th in that list. So that implies that they think we're going to get a heavy points deduction.
Can I just add to that as well, Luke, by the way? I called this about 6 weeks ago. I said it, and it's not come true yet. But I said something like, it wouldn't surprise me if there's no structural change at the club this summer, and the excuse is that it's because it's not the time. because we've been relegated and we're getting points deductions. It's not the time to do a restructure. We need stability. That's what I think it will be. What will end up happening. I think that will be the excuse that they give fans that, oh, we're in a bit of a bad situation at the moment, so we can't really make too many changes and blah blah blah. But for me, it's the perfect time. You know, we're now in a shit situation. Pull the trigger, make the changes right now, and then start to build. But it won't happen. I mean, we've already, you know, look, I know Rob Tanner says himself that, you know, he doesn't know everything, but he said himself that, as far as he's aware, there is nothing going to change this summer. There's not one thing that's going to change. Rodkin will still be in place, you know, come the new season, and we were hopeful that wouldn't be the case. But I think we all know, really deep down, that is going to be what happens.
See, this is what scares me. I'll come to you with this next, Jack. This is what scares me. So I agree with everything you just mentioned and what Anil just said. So here, Maresca's appointed on the 16th of June and Cooper on the 20th of June. And today it is the 21st. Now, what worries me is that Anil's just mentioned that we've had 2 relegations in 2 seasons, or, you know, within 3 years. What bothers me most is I was very worried, Jack. We got relegated last time. We had that creepy kind of like almost like a wake vibes of a funeral when the players were at the pitch at West Ham. They're all looking at each other. They know they're not going to be here. I'm sitting there bricking it, thinking that we're going to have absolutely no one left. And what surprised me, to be honest, is when we first got relegated, I thought there's no way Ricky P stays. JJ's not staying. Ndidi's not staying. There's a lot of players that I thought for sure were gone. And you could maybe make the case that we hear of these things coming out that, you know, Harry Winks made a drop down to the championship because he was really excited to play under Enzo Maresca, and, you know, all these players that were reinvigorated with these new roles. I mentioned this to you last night, Jack. Ndidi, you know, on our high 8. Ricardo, I really have faith in you, mate. You're a very experienced player. You're good on the ball. You're going to be inverting. So a lot of players were talked into staying. Now, if we're having, my whole pitch was, when I first started YouTube, was, would you rather be like an Everton and be really trying to scrape through, Jack, or would you rather just go down, bite the bullet, complete reset, and then come up swinging it, reinvigorated with a whole new structure in place? And that was really set by Enzo, and we've just absolutely wasted it with Cooper. What bothers me is all these people, Jack, that have been left in the dark. There's that comment earlier mentioning Barry Murphy saying he's left because he is in the dark. The players could be in the very same boat. Players might be like, we don't know what manager's going to be coming in. I don't know what points deductions are going to be. I don't know what style of football I'm going to be playing. Am I going to be on the bench? Am I going to be favoured? This could very well go against us and more people jumping ship because they're going to not want to go down with it sinking, Jack.
This is the situation we find ourselves in, lads, and this is down to the football club. I believe every word you're saying there regarding the players not knowing what's happening. You look at Vestergaard in the Danish media. I've not heard anything from the club. But Barry Murphy's the same. Didn't hear anything, didn't know what his future was going to hold. So he thought, you know what, the next job comes up, I'm taking it. And I think Jelly's the same, the goalkeeping coach. If Brighton do make that switch and say, you know what, come and work for us, he's definitely going to go. And that leaves Van Nistelrooy with nobody, no backroom staff apart from Andy King, who he brought through from the under-18s to work with him, which I think was a PR stunt, by the way, by the club to sort of appease the fans that Andy King was a favourite at the football club and much love. So they've tried different strategies, haven't they, to take everything away, the pressure away from the football club by doing different little things. And yeah, Enzo did everything, didn't he? He spoke to the players, he made them trust in his philosophy, and he kept a lot of on which could have gone. This season, the problem is with us, Luke, is wages. Who's going to fucking buy these players who are fucking well overpaid and they're living a life in luxury at Seagrave? So no one's going to pay Vestergaard 70 grand, Connor Cody, well, Fass ain't going to get 60k anyway, you know. So we're stuck. It's like the relegation before. No one expected it. If you said Leicester were going to get relegated at the start of the season of 22-23, you would have laughed in someone's face and said that. Then as soon as the season come closer to the end, he's thinking, yeah, we're in fucking shit here. What's happening? And, you know, we had some very good players in there. But this team, you knew it was going to go down. You knew something was very much off from the start. And from that Wolves game onward, it never sort of picked up, did it? It got worse and the decline happened. And I talk about Leicester's fall-off. It's probably the biggest in English football history, if you're honest. To go from Premier League champions, FA Cup winners and that to the situation you're in now, 2 relegations in 2 Premier League seasons now, it's fucking worrying. And we're in a position now. We don't know who the manager's going to be, the players, who's going to stay, who's going to go. But I wouldn't be surprised if these agents are looking to move their players on to other clubs, because Leicester City is not an attractive project. They're going to say, well, we'll look at the mess Leicester's in when I can go to another club and get better and develop some of these younger players like who have we got there at the minute who's younger but could get better. I'll tell you what, say someone came in for Fatawu and offered, what, £15 million. Leicester are going to look at it, aren't they, and say, okay, then it's a sellable asset, but you don't want to get rid of these players. Matt Hermanson is one. Goalkeeper, he's going to leave this summer, ain't he? Stolasic is good enough. But what gets me is the Begovic one. This is sort of telling this. A 38-year-old goalkeeper, very good experience. But where do you look at it? Do you read in between the lines now, boys, regarding everything? Or how do you sort of take that Begovic news? Because I don't read much into Footy Insider. I think they say things and then nothing seems to come clear of it. And I just think it's all paper talk and that. But I don't know what you guys think.
Well, the Asmir Begovic story is interesting, and it kind of it's another road pointing towards Mr. Sean Dyche. I think he's played under him as well in the past, but we'll see, Jack. Hopefully, it's not long before we find out, mate. We're gonna let you go, Jack, because we've got somebody else to come on, mate. So much appreciated. Go and enjoy the hottest day of the year, mate. All right, go and enjoy it.
Listening, man. We're need a watching this.
Nice, mate. We'll see you soon. All the best, Jack. See you soon. Okay, we've got a special guest coming on. Anil just called him the Sean Dyche Whisperer, or the EFL Whisperer, the Championship Whisperer. Everyone knows him. It is Jacob Horsfall. So let's get him in. Jacob, what's going on, mate?
Yeah, you good?
All good, mate. Thanks for jumping on at late notice, mate. Much appreciated.
No worries.
We're talking about a few different bits today, mate. I mean, the Championship and as you heard, Sean Dyche. I mean, that's the rumour at the moment. Sean Dyche is coming in. But before we talk about him, I wanted to ask you about the state of the Championship this season. You are an expert in Championship football, although your club is now in the Premier League, luckily. Talk to me, mate. I mean, when you look at the Championship table coming up this season, who do you think is in the best position now to go up? Get promotion, because Leicester fans are depressed. We're looking at Southampton and we're a bit jealous of what they're getting done.
Yeah, I'd say Southampton for my favourites to get promoted. I know a lot of people obviously are backing Ipswich, but for me, I've got a really good feeling about Southampton. I'm a big fan of Will still. I've talked about him loads, like even when he was in France. I think he's a top manager, and his football will likely translate quite well. And then I also think Sheffield United are gonna do really well under Ruben Sellers. I know it's a lot of fans are a bit underwhelmed by it, but I think it's a genuinely really good appointment. And then you've got the likes of like Coventry. Coventry will be up there sniffing around it. I mean, the likes of Bristol City and stuff will probably drop off, but yeah, there's quite a few teams. I think the league this season will be a lot more competitive than it was last season. There won't be two teams hitting 100 points, but yeah.
Neil, what did you make to the Wilder situation? Because obviously they lost that playoff final. They've decided to pull the trigger and go for Ruben Sellers. So do you think that's a smart move by them, Anil? Because, we call Wilder a dinosaur, although we called Dyche that as well, and Jacob's going to put us right on that, apparently. But yeah, Neil, talk to me about Sheffield United, because they're one of the rivals to go up, of course.
Yeah, well, they had new owners that came in January. So I think the thing is when that happens, you do quite often see these managerial changes, right? Especially if they want to go a certain way. And what I've read into it is like they wanted to do things like starting using like AI and data to do their recruitment signings and things like that. And Chris Wilder's been like, not on my watch is that happening sort of things. I think there was always conflict there. I don't know. I'm sort of hoping, though, that it goes wrong. Like it's one of these clubs that is thinking in the right steps, but they're trying to change too much too quickly. Like we saw that with Birmingham City. Now, ironically, this season, Birmingham City are probably going to be, I think a dark horse to go up even in the automatics. But if you remember when their new owners first came in, the first thing they did is they got rid of John Eustace. They brought in Wayne Rooney, and that's probably the only decision in English football that's worse than not sacking Brendan Rodgers fast enough, which is what we found ourselves in. So, you know, they ended up in League One. So maybe you'll get a situation like that where Sellers tries to play like football that is maybe a bit beyond the squad that they've got. But I don't know. I mean, I agree that I think there is something about him. He is fairly well regarded in the English game. We'll have to see there. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm hoping that they've done an own goal, but it might work out the other way. To be honest, I'm quite interested to see what Jacob has to say on the situation, because, you know, you see behind the scenes and what happens week to week in terms of where to go. And I think Wilder's really unlucky, because I think at the start of the season, people didn't really think that Sheffield United were going to go up, right? Especially with the points deduction. And at one point, with 7 games to go, they were top. It's just that they bottled it in the most epic way possible, and even bottled the playoff final as well when they were absolutely dominant. I couldn't believe that Sunderland won that game. So I think if you put all that into consideration, he's pretty unlucky to lose his job. But clearly behind the scenes, there was some, you know, a bit of egos going on with the owners.
Luke, I mean, you just before we go back to Jacob, Luke, you wanted Will still at Leicester. Are they your pick to go up first time?
Yeah, I've been saying it for ages, mate. I was massively impressed with him. And so was Anil when we watched that preseason game, how much they absolutely battered us with. If people want to have and say we want something similar to Enzo Maresca style of football, that's the closest thing you're going to get, in my opinion. What he's done is absolutely incredible with the squad he had available. What's equally interesting to me is that he's gone out in his own terms in the French league. He's come over here. He's paid his dues over there. He probably sees it like, I've got a bit of a name, bit of reputation to myself now. This is the best platform for me to progress my career in English football, go to the championships and have one of the biggest squads and the better list available in the championship, implement my game plan early, which is what they've done by bringing him in. He was there watching for the last game. Now he's got the preseason to implement his style. It's just all about how effective he can be with these new players and being able to build his style of football. It was very evident when we brought in Enzo Maresca when we played Liverpool that first 20 minutes, it was evident already that he had instilled that. So it's one thing to have a playing style and a philosophy, but it's another to be able to rapidly and fast instill that in your players and have them doing it efficiently. But
Right,
yes,
Jacob.
to answer your question, no, piss the league. Go on.
Yeah. Right, Jacob, let's address the elephant in the room, mate. Sean Dyche is rumoured to be coming in at Leicester. I mean, I was speaking to you yesterday over message, and you know, I wasn't excited for it, but you put me right on a couple of things. Obviously, he managed your team, Burnley. Tell us why we're wrong, Jacob. Tell us why we're wrong, or the people are wrong to call him a dinosaur.
I just think it's not to be no offense. I just think it's a really lazy about Sean Dyche. This idea that he's this dinosaur who isn't tactically strong, just really has a bunch of lads who run up and down pitch and score a few headers. Basically, that's the common way people perceive him. But he got Burnley into Europe after spending less than 15 million in a summer transfer window. He then the following window played in Europe and kept Burnley up with signing Joe Hart for free and Dale Stevens for 500k. That was all he did in the summer, and he kept Burnley up. Now, when you look at Leicester's situation, the points deduction, we don't know what's, there could be stuff happening in the summer window. Obviously been restricted the last few windows with how much you can spend. If there's someone who can get a tune out of a squad that's limited, which the Leicester squad is slightly limited at times, and if they lose a few players, it'll be even more so. And then also, if you have, a situation behind the scenes like Everton did when he took over us, he said in an interview with The Overlap, he was saying like Burnley were in so much debt when he came in, rescued the debt, made loads of massive sales from bringing in young players like look at the likes of James Tarkowski, Dwight McNeil, these young lads who came through. Nick Pope, I think we signed Nick Pope for like less than £1 million after he'd just been relegated from the Championship or something like that. And now obviously you look at the heights Nick Pope got to, was in the England #1 conversation for a long while. Tom Heaton as well. I just think it's really unfair because, again, he said he works with what he's got. He's not going to play a system that is above the means of the squad. He's not going to get, Connor Cody trying to play out from the back against Liverpool. He's going to sit there and go, this is what we've got. We're not going to put square pegs in circular holes. We're going to look at Burnley. We had Tarkowski, Ben Mee and Nick Pope. An incredible back line. So we'll sit deep in a low block. We'll tell people to bomb crosses in and we'll win them all day. And then we had a bit of pace like to Dwight McNeil and Johan Gudmundsson. And we had 2 tall strikers. So it makes sense to hit down the line and put crosses in. he's just a very pragmatic manager. And I feel like in the modern game, with so much expansive football and managers trying to get their teams playing above their means, let's be honest, you know. I mean, you look at like Russell Martin at Southampton. There's teams trying to play above the quality of the squad. And that was something like Ruben Sellers did at Hull. The squad wasn't capable of playing the way he wanted to play. But Sean Dyche isn't like that. You know, he's a very much so, he'll get the best out of the squad that's available to him. And also, again, there's this narrative, like, I know you mentioned Asmir Begovic before and that kind of being like an old head, which might link to Dyche. But again, at Burnley, he did bring in Bobby Thomas, who's at Coventry now. He came through under Dyche from the academy. We had the likes of Dwight McNeil, who's obviously gone on to do great things. We also had the likes of James Tarkowski. He was young when he arrived. He did bring through quite a few good young players.
I want to ask you one thing before I hand to Luke. I mean, how would you expect him to? Because, you know, even with point deductions and losing a couple of players, we will still have one of the best squads in the Championship. Yeah. How would you expect him to? Because I know you'll do a video anyway if it happens, so we'll look forward to that. But how would you expect him to set Leicester up if he came into the club in the Championship?
I mean, obviously it depends on who's available. But when Burnley won the Championship, the two times he took Burnley up from the Championship, we played like genuinely really good football. Like, we dominated the ball, we created a ton of chances, we were solid at the back. So it'll be something like that. He's not going to be probably your 4-4-2. It might be something more of like a 4-2-3-1. It'll still be the three at the back when you have the ball. You'll play with three at the back when you have the ball, because if we go right back to Dyche's roots, it is about not conceding goals. He's not going to play that high risk like maybe Enzo Maresca did at times with a 2, and trying to bomb as many players forward as physically possible. But I don't know, to be fair. Obviously, again, it depends on... Dyche didn't sign any of them.
Yeah,
that's Scott Parker.
This is the same guy that thought Samari was going to sell for 40 million pounds. So don't worry.
Go on, Luke.
Do you think, Jacob, mate, that like Dyche would be a much better appointment if we didn't have any points deductions coming our way? If we had no points deductions, we had no sanctions. Like, I don't know how familiar you are with Leicester and how much prima donnas we have in the squad, but like
he's done a lot. He's done a lot of research, Jacob has. He's done a lot of research.
Okay.
On Leicester.
Sorry, I wasn't sure. I didn't mean to be rude, but like, yeah, you know what I mean, right? Like if there was none of that in place, like, I think he's a firefighter. I can understand that, but like, is this what we are right now? Are we in a firefight right now? Are we in like potential Luton situation where, like, actually, you know what? I just answered my question. Maybe we are in a firefight. Maybe we really are. Maybe Dyche maybe is someone that we need, but to get a hold of this squad. But like, what worries me is do you think he's going to play our youth, mate, or do you think he's going to be putting Ayew and Bobby Donkey over Reed up on our wingers? That gives me anxiety.
No, I think Dyche is someone who looks for profiles. He's not someone who necessarily has a bias to, let me play them experienced heads. I mean, obviously, at core parts team, the spine of the team probably will be some of the older lads, you know. I feel like if Harry Winks is staying, he's instantly someone who I think will play a really big role. Kind of very similar to Ashley Westwood when he played under Sean Dyche a few years ago before he went to America. But again, Dyche can be a firefighter. You know, he's done it in the Premier League. He did it with Everton, put the fire out, got them up. With us, we were literally like a bottom half Championship team, like probably just above the relegation standard. And within, you know, I mean, he was at us for 10 years. He got a pub named after him at Burnley, just outside the ground. But he obviously then took us from that position, fixed everything in debt. We became literally one of the only clubs in the Premier League when we were in Europe to not have any debt at all. But that's because of Dyche's philosophy. It goes across the full club, which again with Leicester is probably needed. That identity that he has in himself. But also, I think if he didn't have a points deduction, I would 100% backed Leicester to win the league under Sean Dyche. 100%. I probably would have put a bet on. But with the points deduction, it's a much bigger task. And it depends on the summer, depends on who stays. But a lot of them, like you said, they're the prima donnas. They will just not play under Dyche. If you don't run, you don't put the hard yards in, he simply just will not play you. Patrick Bamford was at Burnley on loan a long while ago, and he came up to Dyche and was asking why he wasn't playing, and Dyche said, "You're not good enough." And he went and cried in his car, and there's like a big story about it. But that's the thing, that he's not going to play people for the sake of it. He's not going to play 18-year-olds against like Sheffield United just for the sake of playing an 18-year-old to make everyone happy. he will play what he thinks will win. He'll get the most out of them. He'll get the hard workers on the pitch. So anyone who run for a brick wall for him, they're on the pitch. But you'll get the fans feeling like that. If you buy into Sean Dyche, I promise you will feel it's such a good feeling when you go. I remember when we did. I mean, we got promoted, went away to Chelsea, beat them 3-2 just after they won the league, and it was just like, this is like Sean Dyche's Burnley. You know, you might not be the prettiest. Everyone will hate you, especially if you go up under him. Everybody will hate you because it is horrible football to play against. But he knows how to win games, and especially again in the Championship, he knows how to get promoted.
Go on,
Jacob,
Neil.
do you think he would reinvent himself at all? Because like you said it before, I've said this on our show a few times, that like Dyche did move away from 4-4-2 and he went to 4-2-3-1 when he was in charge of Everton. And I have heard him say sometimes as well, he goes, well, look, you know, people always accuse me of playing this defensive football, but it's like I've only ever been in charge of like a squad. Like he was basically saying like they gave Vincent Kompany 100 million to spend, they didn't give me £10 to spend, you know, which is fair enough. But at the same time, he does come across sometimes as a bit of sort of Sam Allardyce style of like, oh, I don't want this tippy-tappy football, when he thinks he's like hard because he doesn't play it. So I'm curious, well, it's like sort of two questions here. So one, how did you guys deal against deep blocks when you were in a Championship? Because that's something that we saw time and time again with Leicester, and is where I thought Maresca was a good appointment. Whilst we did struggle with it on occasion, he could draw them out with the false nine and things like that. And my other question is just like, you know, the game is moving on. Do you think that Sean Dyche can move with it, or do you think he's yesterday's man? Like, you know, for us, we've basically got what we think is a generational player in Jeremy Monga. You know, that doesn't mean he's going to be Lamine Yamal, but he's literally, the academy staff say he's the best player ever to come through the Leicester City academy, right? And we've had players like Harvey Barnes, you know, et cetera, who have gone on for big money. So when someone says that, you kind of believe that it's true. And I think what we're a bit nervous of is like, do you trust giving the crown jewels to Sean bloody Dyche, right? You know, as opposed to some sort of like, you know, if it was Enzo Maresca, you'd be thinking, oh my God, he's going to turn this guy into like a £70 million player. So I've asked a lot of questions there, but I'd love your insight into what you think about that sort of aspect of Sean Dyche.
To be honest, you're testing my memory here, because I think when we were in the Championship with Dyche, I was probably like 8-year-old. I can't really remember too well. I'm only 18, so I can't remember all the way back then. But he did change. I mean, I know a load of my mates. We were speaking about it not too long ago, and they were saying like we actually played good football. And like you said, he adapts. And again, up until the final season before he was sacked, I think the most was spent in a window under him was like 15 million. That was like it. And then obviously when that window before he was sacked, he brought in like Cornet, Weghorst, Nathan Collins. And players that he spent a little bit of money, but still, with respect to the rest of the league, I mean, for us, it was like, this is a crazy window. We spent 40 million quid, but for the rest of the league, that is like, Jesus Christ, you're going to get relegated. And he fought against that for so long. But I think, again, in the Championship, like you said, he changes things. And I also think, I said it before, he's an adaptable manager. So when Dwight McNeil came through in the academy, he was actually a central midfielder. But obviously, as we know now, you know, he's a left winger, but he was the only left-footed player at the club. This shows, again, the resources Dyche had. Robbie Brady was injured. Charlie Taylor was injured. So we had no left winger at the club. And McNeil was the only left-footer in the academy. So he got brought in, played in the Europa League a good few times, impressed. And if he impresses under Dyche, he fits what Dyche wants. You know, he's a good crosser of the ball. He'll play. If Monga comes in and he fits what Dyche wants to play, if he's, you know, going to be direct with the ball, if he's going to run the line, if he's going to work back, he'll play. It's as simple as that. There's no biases there that I think Dyche will have. Like, again, he's not going to sit and play Connor Cody for the sake of playing Connor Cody. You know, he's going to, everything he does is with that intent. But I think, yeah, like, again, like, it comes back to the idea, like, I think a lot of people kind of didn't really watch much of Sean Dyche's Burnley. They just kind of heard the comments from managers, like when David Luiz called Burnley anti-football, and you hear stuff like that. But when you actually watched us under Dyche, it wasn't as awful as people make it out. You know, it was just trying to find ways to win. And Dyche should be so much better than someone like Cooper. I'm a really, really, really big fan of Sean Dyche. But yeah, I think in the Championship, you'll play a lot better football. And like you said, he's never really had much money. to actually spend. So it'd be interesting to see if in the Championship with a little bit of maybe a little bit more money. I'm saying that you might not even be able to spend any, but I think you do a good job.
Go on, Luke.
So, where you're at now and the beautiful football you're playing now, Jacob, would you have Sean Dyche back if Unai Emery quit? You'd have him back?
Yeah. If
Unai Emery, he's a Burnley fan, not a Villa fan.
Huh?
Yeah, not Unai Emery.
Scott Parker.
Scott Parker, sorry. But seriously, would you still have him back though? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that I said that if Dyche doesn't have a job come November and Scott Parker gets sacked, I'd snap your hand off because he would keep us up.
Really? Okay, interesting. Yeah. All right.
I actually think, if there is no embargoes and things like that, and we can spend money, Jacob, like our board is known to back managers in their first summer window. My worry like you said, he uses what he's got. My worry is, will he build a squad to play the brand of football that he's accused of always wanting to play? That's just briefly, if you can just answer that, Jacob. Let's say he's given £30 million in the Championship somehow. Let's say he's given that. Will he just build the 4-4-2, get it forward kind of brigade?
No, again, when he's got the team, obviously he's always been used. Everton and Burnley, it was teams of way, way less quality than the rest of the league. So he had to play that way where he could get the fine margins, which was through the heavy running. And playing in a 4-4-2 closes the gaps, closes the spacing, and means that if you've got heavy runners, people that can get around the strikers, it works really, really well. In the Championship, you have a little bit more of the ball. It'll probably be something a little bit more similar to that 4-2-3-1. Obviously, you'll still have his principles. You'll still have you run the hard yards, you get in behind, you put crosses in, you work as hard as possible, you make sure you defend first before you bomb forward. But it won't be the 4-4-2 long ball because he won't need to play that way. And it'd probably actually benefit Leicester less if he played that way. But to be fair, again, I just wanted to add as well, when he left Burnley, he had a massive fallout with the owners. So there's a high chance he probably wouldn't ever come back here. But
Yeah. Jacob, mate, really appreciate you jumping on at late notice, mate, and giving us some insight. Of course, if it actually happens, if the deal actually happens, then we might get you on again, and you'll be doing your own video, which will be great. Also, to any, we're all Championship fans now in the live chat. Head over to Jacob's YouTube as well, because he's been doing some breakdowns on the latest one, Sheffield United under Sellers. So that's an interesting watch as well. So yeah, make sure to check that out. Cheers, Jacob, mate. Much appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your day, pal. See you soon, mate. All the best. Cheers to Jacob. I'll hand over to Luke now to wrap up. Go on, Luke.
Oh, mate. I just want to quickly pull up some comments here. I have absolutely been on one. It's almost as bad as that's probably one of the worst glitches I've ever had. So yeah, as you can see here, brain damage confirmed from sparring. Maybe Luke's never going to be the same. Banned from hosting duties. How hard did the Kangaroos punch? Thanks, guys. I love the banter. Thank you for everyone getting their comments in. And you got anything to say before we wrap this up?
Let's hope something happens with Leicester. I still cannot believe it. I said when the season ended, I expected there to be so many emergency streams. Not a peep. Absolutely scandalous from the club. No matter what happens, right? We have to give it to them this season. The way they've treated the fans is... I can't think of a club in England that's been worse. Maybe Sheffield Wednesday. That's the only one. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, lads. Locks is suffering. We're going to have to wrap this up. Locks can't handle the heat. It's what's the weather right now before we wrap this up? What is it?
It is in Leicester 28.
Fuck off. It's a nice cold day. I'd have a jacket on right now. All right. Locks are soft, and Locks also is looking forward to a wow phase, the Virgil van.
Bye, Luke.
I was going to end the stream before you could answer me. Take care, guys. Have a good weekend. Go out and check out the merch shop as well. Get yourself a Fast Twitch Fibers t-shirt. Check out bluetinted glasses.com and get yourself a mug or anything of the above. Have a good weekend. Peace.